Producer Vel adjusted his bioluminescent recording tentacles as he surveyed the pristine wilderness of Kepler 442b through the control room's panoramic viewing screen. The untamed planet below stretched endlessly dense forests, rushing rivers, towering mountains, and absolutely no signs of civilization. Perfect for the galaxy's most popular reality entertainment program, Primal Survival. Ladies, gentlemen, and diverse biological entities, Vel addressed the floating camera drones. Welcome to Season 47 of Primal Survival, where the galaxy's most advanced species compete using only their natural abilities. His excitement was palpable through his chromatophore displays. No technology, no weapons, no tools beyond what they can create with their own appendages. The rules were simple and had remained unchanged for decades. 12 contestants from different star systems would be dropped on a primitive world with nothing but basic clothing. No energy weapons, no molecular fabricators, no neural implants, no anti-grav devices, nothing that represented the technological achievements of galactic civilization. Pure survival, the way their ancestors had lived millions of years ago. Our contestants this season represent the finest specimens from across known space. Vel continued his introduction. From the methane worlds of Titan Sigma, we have Crex Null, whose crystalline exoskeleton can withstand temperatures that would vaporize most substances. From the gas giant of Belthara, the mighty Gorthun, whose natural bioelectric generation could power a small city. The camera drones swept across the other contestants, the photosynthetic Zenkari, who could derive energy directly from starlight, the thermophilic Vulcans who thrived in volcanic conditions, the aquatic Myrthols who could extract oxygen from any liquid, and 7 other representatives of species that had evolved in extreme conditions across the galaxy. And finally, Vel tone became slightly condescending. We have our special guests. From the recently contacted Sol system, 3 representatives of a species that calls itself human. The camera focused on 3 ordinary-looking bipeds: Dr. Sarah Martinez, a 34-year-old anthropologist, Jake Thompson, a 28-year-old former military survival instructor, and Elena Kowalski, a 31-year-old wilderness guide. They looked remarkably unremarkable compared to their alien competitors. In the viewing lounges across a dozen star systems, millions of beings settled in to watch what promised to be the shortest-lived participation in primal survival history. The humans had no natural armor, no energy generation capabilities, no environmental adaptations, no obvious survival advantages. Most betting pools gave them less than 6 hours before voluntary withdrawal. The drop commenced at dawn. 12 emergency pods scattered across a 100-square-kilometer area of temperate forest. As the pods dissolved, the only technology allowed, and only to ensure safe delivery, the real competition began. Vel settled back to watch the entertainment unfold. The first hours were always chaotic as contestants oriented themselves and began the basic tasks of survival: finding shelter, locating water, securing food sources. Crex Null, the crystalline being, immediately began searching for mineral deposits to consume, his geological sensory organs pinging through the ground. Gorthun tested the local atmosphere for ionization potential, preparing to charge his bioelectric cells. The other contestants dispersed according to their species' environmental preferences. The humans did something nobody expected. "What are they doing?" asked Director Mordax, Vel chief assistant, watching the human feeds with confusion. Within the first hour, Jake Thompson had gathered a pile of dry wood, struck 2 stones together in a specific pattern, and created fire. Actual controlled combustion, flickering orange and red, producing heat and light. How did he do that? Vel demanded, checking the technical specifications. There were no ignition devices in his pod. Meanwhile, Sarah Martinez was doing something equally puzzling. She had found a stream and was shaping rocks into specific forms, creating what appeared to be tools. Crude cutting implements, digging devices, containers for carrying water. Elena Kowalski was even more disturbing to watch. She had taken a long stick, sharpened one end with a shaped rock, and was somehow using it to kill small animals for food. The camera drone zoomed in, trying to understand the technique. "These humans," Director Mordax said slowly, "they're not learning survival. They already know it." By the end of the first day, while the other contestants were still adapting to the primitive environment, the humans had established a functional camp. They had consistent fire, sharp tools, adequate shelter, and a steady food supply. More disturbing still, they were improving their technology, crafting better tools from the primitive ones they'd started with. "Sir," the technical coordinator reported nervously, "we're receiving complaints from other contestants' homeworlds. They're claiming the humans are cheating." "How?" Veltharax studied the feeds. "They haven't used any prohibited technology. Everything they're doing is accomplished with naturally occurring materials." "That's just it, sir. The other species, their ancestors gave up these techniques millions of years ago when they developed advanced technology. But humans apparently never forgot." By day 3, the situation had become farcical. The humans had constructed elaborate shelters, sophisticated tools, and were living more comfortably than some contestants did in their own homes. They had even begun trying to help other contestants, sharing fire and tools. Crex Knoll, the crystalline being who should have been dominating the competition, was huddled near the human campfire, having discovered that his mineral-based diet was insufficient in this environment. Gorthun, whose bioelectric abilities were useless without proper atmospheric conditions, was learning to make simple tools from Elena. The humans aren't competing, Veltharax realized with growing amazement. They're teaching survival. The revelation became clear during a conversation between Sarah and one of the camera drones, when she explained what they were doing. "You have to understand," she said, efficiently weaving plant fibers into rope. "For humans, this isn't primitive survival. This is basically camping. My species spent hundreds of thousands of years developing these skills before we ever reached space. We never stopped using them." Jake, sharpening a spear while tending the fire, added, "Every human child learns to make fire, create tools, and find food in the wilderness. It's part of our basic education. We call it scouting." Elena, who was teaching Gorthun how to construct a fish trap, looked directly at the camera. "The question isn't how we know these things. The question is, how did your species forget them?" By the end of the first week, primal survival had transformed into something completely different. Instead of a competition, it had become an educational program where 3 humans taught the galaxy's most advanced species the basic skills their ancestors had abandoned in favor of technology. The final irony came when the show's elimination vote was held. Instead of voting off the humans for their unfair advantage, every single alien contestant voted to eliminate themselves so they could stay longer and learn more primitive skills from their human teachers. Veltharax stared at the unprecedented situation and realized that, once again, the humans had completely changed the rules of a game without breaking a single one. "Next season," he told his assistant, "we're calling it Primal Education and making the humans the instructors."